What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Mark Farzetta with you. Following the 76ers taking care of business against the Orlando Magic in a much-needed way. A little bit of a different setup, but wanted to make sure that I waited until, obviously, the Sixers game was done. And, of course, that the Cleveland Cavaliers were going to be able to take care of business to help the 76ers. That's exactly what they did by beating the Indiana Pacers. As of right now, everybody is even Stevens in the NBA's Eastern Conference, who's in the hunt for the 6th or the 5th playoff seed in the Eastern Conference. So right now, the Sixers, unfortunately, still holding on to that 7th seed. Everything's all even, though, at that spot. But they get a great effort from Joel Embiid tonight. He dropped 32 points in 32 minutes of play. Tyrese Maxey adds in 28 points of his own. And Kelly Oubre, really across the board when you talk about starters, Kelly Oubre putting a bow on it with 21 points of his own. A big three from Nicholas Batum earlier in the game. Nico Batum dropping it, and another good effort from Tobias Harris. Need to see more of that from him as time goes on. We'll recap it all right here as you're Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel and Locked On 76ers POSTCAST.
You are Locked On 76ers POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Philadelphia, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome in once again. My name is Mark Farzetta. Appreciate you guys joining me right here on Locked On 76ers POSTCAST. A lot to be excited about, but first and foremost, let's get to our big three things. Number one, Joel Embiid appears to be healthy. With about 1:40 left in the first half, he drives the lane, does a little Euro step, goes up, comes down awkwardly. Seems like he goes back up to get 2 more points for his 20th and 21st points of the night. And then he hits the ground. He would go back to the locker room, again, at the 1:40 mark left in that first half. So in that second quarter, 1:40 to go, he goes back. Everyone's worried during halftime what you're going to get from Joel Embiid going forward. If this is going to be another cautionary tale of Joel Embiid not being ready for the playoffs, this time due to a different injury, but that wouldn't be the case. JoJo comes back out in that second half and is able to get you 11 more points in the game that the 76ers really never lost control. Dominant effort from Joel Embiid in his time out there. And the number one thing I'll look at when it comes to Joel Embiid being out there on the hardwood tonight, without question, has to be his assists. I know 32 points is great, 32 minutes is great, 11 rebounds is what he does, but let's not forget about the big man moving the basketball around. Now you're looking at his last 2 games where he's been helping out his teammates tremendously. 7 assists tonight, 8 assists in his previous game. So he goes out there and does exactly what you want to see him do. Not only does he take a little bit of a tumble, get time in the locker room, but he is cleared to come back and play and handle the business for the 76ers there in that second half. Number 2, Tyrese Maxey. Without question tonight, Tyrese Maxey helping the Sixers get the job done. 28 points, not just 28 points, but clutch points in that fourth quarter from Tyrese Maxey. You never saw him lose control. Turnovers, not a big issue for either him or Joel Embiid tonight when you look at what the Sixers were able to go out there and do. Now, we have seen Joel Embiid have an 8-turnover night. We've seen him have a 9-turnover night. Tonight, 4 turnovers for the big man. And we look at what Tyrese Maxey was able to do in 40 minutes of play this evening. 28 points on 19 shots, 5 of 10 from beyond the arc. This is playoff Maxey we're talking about. We know what we can get from Joel Embiid. We know the highs and lows experiencing Joel Embiid's postseason run that he's had throughout his career to this point. We know that turnovers can be a thing. We also know that points can be a thing. And we're well aware of the unfortunate fact that injuries can be part of it. But when you talk about Tyrese Maxey, one of the things we had him under the microscope in the 2 months that Joel Embiid was sidelined with his most recent meniscus injury was whether or not you would have Tyrese Maxey take that next step. We know he can be an all-star. We know he can be a scorer. But the time to win is right now. And Tyrese Maxey highlighted that after his 52-point performance against the San Antonio Spurs, where he said after the game, it's just a matter of time in that fourth quarter where you start stepping up, knocking down clutch shots, and start getting your own individual rallies going so that everybody else can contribute. Kelly Oubre, Jeff Dowtin, who we've talked about a bunch, and also, let's not forget, Ricky Council IV. But Tyrese Maxey, coming up the way he did, especially in that second half, dropping 5 threes, shooting 50% from beyond, that's a guy that is going to help you in the playoffs. You want to talk about winning time, as Tyrese Maxey does? No better time than the present. And the fact that you went into this game knowing you had a clear-cut shot still to keep hope alive for that 6th playoff seed. Bottom line, keep hope alive for not playing in that play-in tournament, at least crawling out of the 7th seed. Tyrese Maxey, a huge reason as why the Sixers were able to handle their business tonight. Now, the interesting thing with him is you saw all kinds of baskets from him. You, of course, saw him be great from beyond the arc, but slashing to the hoop, getting to the hoop with great aggression, seeing him be able to get to the foul line, making a couple trips to the foul line in this game, being 3 or 4 from the stripe. That's something you don't see a lot from Tyrese Maxey because, as we know, he doesn't get a lot of the calls. This time tonight, he got a couple more of those calls to go in his favor. So Tyrese Maxey, after Joel Embiid came back from the injury, the next best thing, or from a little time off, I'll call it, the next best thing was seeing Tyrese Maxey out there on the court in that second half lead the team. Kelly Oubre, I'll go to it again. This is the guy that just keeps on giving in the Sixers starting lineup. And tonight, you see Tobias Harris in the starting lineup. You see Kyle Lowry come back. North Philly zone. He drops 7 points for it, but he gets the start tonight, locks 24 minutes of play. And then you see Tyrese Maxey and you see Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre carved out in tonight's game 30 minutes in the starting lineup tonight to drop 21 points in those 30 minutes. He shot 6 of 14 from beyond the arc, and he hit 2 threes as well. Got to the foul line a number of times, and that's something I want to focus on when it comes to Kelly Oubre. The aggression from Kelly Oubre continues to be his calling card. That aggression leads to a spark for this team. And it doesn't have to be a spark off the bench. You can still be a starter and provide that spark the way he did and has done for the Sixers for really the last 2 months of the season, especially the last month and 2 weeks is what you're looking at from him. Clutch performance, spark for the Sixers, and he does it again tonight. To the point where Joel Embiid was feeding him the rock so he could come up and knock you down a number of shots, and also at the same time be able to get to the rim, get fouled, go to the line to also keep momentum on the side for the 76ers. So Kelly Oubre, yet again, makes great things happen for the Sixers when he's out there, and he is doing his thing. That's aggressive, that's attacking the basket. In a point in time in that second quarter where you saw the Magic start to give a little bit of a run for their money for the 76ers, one of the things you really saw was Kelly Oubre slowing things down and knocking down a corner 3 after some chef's kiss, beautiful ball movement from the 76ers. It ended with Kelly Oubre being able to knock down that corner 3 and continue to cushion the Sixers' lead as the game went on. That is what he provides for you. Those are the 3 big things. Of all those things that happened in this particular game, the biggest thing was, without question, the Sixers keeping pace with the Magic, of course, who they beat tonight, the Pacers, who lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers 129-120, and then all of it comes down in an 82-game season. It all comes down to Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock, the Orlando Magic visit the Milwaukee Bucks, who they've already lost to. They also face, then the Pacers play the Hawks at 1 o'clock, and then the 76ers at 1 o'clock, they play host to the Nets. Now, all the teams that you want to lose, unfortunately, just like the 76ers, are home. The Magic are hosting the Bucks, the Pacers are hosting the Hawks, and the Sixers, who you want to win, obviously, are hosting the Brooklyn Nets. So home games across the board for everyone. If you look at the standings, it was 17 games out of first place in the Eastern Conference. I marvel at the idea of the Sixers still being in it. Do I want to already be in that 5 or 6 seed? Of course. But what they have gone through this season without the reigning MVP and Joel Embiid, to be in this position where, A, they're going to at least make the play-in tournament, and B, right there to try to get up to that spot of the 6th playoff seed is exactly what you want to see from the Sixers, and that's what you saw tonight. They kept hope alive, and that's all we can really ask for at this point, given the cards that the Sixers have been dealt yet again this season. We'll break it down further, other individual performances when it comes to the 76ers, and what Nick Nurse had to say after the game about Joel Embiid and the injury that made him leave for the final minute and 40 seconds of the first half. We'll break it all down and more coming up. But right now, you are locked on Sports Philadelphia, ladies and gentlemen. You are locked on Sports Philadelphia with all the great things we have going on here on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. More after this. Stitch Fix. Got to tell you about Stitch Fix and how incredible Stitch Fix is. I am a Stitch Fix subscriber, and I've been for years. Because when we go out, we want to make sure that we're confident. We want to like our style. You want to make sure that everything fits right and everything's within the budget as well. And that's why I love Stitch Fix. With Stitch Fix, you get your own stylist who understands your size, your style, and your budget, and they do all the shopping for you. It's an easy way to update your wardrobe for the season. Now, I'm a button-down guy, right? Pair of jeans, maybe a nice pair of pants, nice pair of slacks outside the jeans category. But Stitch Fix, what they do is they try to match your style the way you like it, but also maybe try this. There'll be a suggestion there from your stylist. One case in particular, I started wearing a particular pair of jeans because I got them from Stitch Fix. Wouldn't normally wear them. Now I wear them all the time. They are my go-to jeans from Stitch Fix. Still wearing them to this day. And if you don't love something that they do send you, you can just send it back. It's just that easy. Shipping, returns, and exchanges are always free with the people at Stitch Fix. It's so easy to upgrade your wardrobe this year with a professional stylist that helps you find new and on-trend favorites that will work for you. Just give your stylist your size, style, and budget preferences, and you can order your boxes when you want. No subscriptions required, and you keep what works, and you send back the rest. Stitch Fix style that makes you feel as good as you look. Get started today at stitchfix.com/lockedon. That's stitchfix.com/lockedon. One more time. That's stitchfix.com/lockedon. Now, the incredible people at eBay Motors, passion, drive, patience, the formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, all the above. eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 parts for your ride or die, your number one ride or die. You always find exactly what you're looking for, and with eBay Motors, this is what's so incredible. With eBay, guaranteed fit. Your part is guaranteed to find your ride or die and fit your ride or die every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. See what they did there? With all the parts you need and all the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. That's ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed. Fit only, available to U.S. customers. So let's break it down when we talk about those individual performances from the 76ers. We know about Tyrese Maxey. We highlighted what he was able to do for the Sixers tonight. Same thing with Joel Embiid. Same thing with Kyle Lowry in the starting lineup tonight, and Tobias Harris being able to help out as well. One of the guys that has been Johnny on the spot for the Sixers, similar to situation to what you saw from Kelly Oubre in that late in the second quarter with him knocking down that corner three. Nico Batum, in the early goings of this game, it was about a 9-4 game. Joel Embiid gets a rebound down the other end. He starts bringing the basketball up. He finds Kyle Lowry. They're able to find Nico Batum on a kick out at the top of the key. He drains the three. He only had 5 points in the game tonight. By just looking at the box score, not a guy that you look at saying, oh, this guy helped control the game. No, but the buckets that he had tonight, the few and far between buckets that he had tonight were without question huge. And you look at him contributing to help out this team. He had the 1-3, then he was able to have a putback later in the game. That's something from Nico Batum, and really something that you've been waiting for the Sixers bench to come off the Sixers bench and help him. But we've been waiting for quite a while, and he came up huge in the Sixers category in that regard tonight. After that, you saw not the best night, unfortunately, in terms of aggressiveness from Buddy Hield, but he didn't need it. Look, if you're telling me that Buddy Hield is still shooting 50% from beyond the arc like he did tonight, only 2 threes, not 5. That title went to Tyrese Maxey for what he was able to do as the Sixers' best three-point shooter on the night. But again, similar to Nico Batum, you're calling on guys off the bench to come in and give you good, serviceable minutes. Batum gave you 30 minutes off the bench. That's going to be huge when the playoffs eventually start. You had Paul Reed give you help at the center position tonight with 15 points. He was aggressive, getting you some rebounds, got 3 total on the night, and then he was also able to go out there and get you 6 points. When you look at Cam Payne and what he's able to give. You talk about a spark. He's the guy that if you have Kyle Lowry healthy and he's going, he's in your starting lineup. The guy off the bench that will take that off the bench spark role will, without question, be Cam Payne. His ability to cut to the basket, his ability to knock down the three-point shot, that's something that the Sixers will also be heavily reliant on by the time the playoffs start. And right now, it's already playoff time. After the game 2 games ago, Nick Nurse talked about how there's no more time for BS. There's no more time to just tolerate ramping up to the playoffs. The only guy that should be using the word ramp up is a guy like Joel Embiid, who still now on a couple of straight games is getting you over 30 minutes in these games, giving you that great quality MVP level production we know that Joel Embiid can give you. But when you look at guys that can give you that little extra throughout the game when the playoffs are dragging on, maybe it's late in the game, a close game, and you need someone to have that high stamina, Cam Payne is a guy I think you'll be able to rely on the more you go into the playoffs. You get another handful of minutes from DeAnthony Melton. The term ramp up, Joel Embiid, certainly. DeAnthony Melton, you got to apply that same term as well. He'll be ramping up his conditioning as time goes on here. Jeff Dowtin, you had the rookie council give you a minute late in the game. Nothing worth bragging about there, but those are guys that hopefully you'll be able to rely on in a rotation if they get picked up with their 10-day contracts, two-way contracts, as time goes on. But looking at the Sixers from that vantage point right now, they got the guys deep off the bench that can come in and help you win football, or should help you win these games down the stretch as the playoffs creep closer and closer. Nick Nurse, I talked about it earlier. What Nick Nurse is going to be able to tell you wasn't much, unfortunately, after the game, but he came back in, Joel Embiid, after the injury. And when Nick Nurse was addressing the media afterwards, one of the things that he got into was, of course, the status of Joel Embiid's knee. He came back. He logged 11 more minutes of play, was productive in that time, and was able to make sure that this team was getting over the hump when they needed to get over the hump. Bottom line is, he went out there, he logged the minutes, he got you points, and he made sure the Sixers were able to close out this basketball game. When you're looking at an MVP caliber player, you expect MVP caliber performance regardless of injury history. And the amount of time the Sixers waited to bring him back, you knew that some people were going to be skeptical as to whether or not he was rushed back. I'm sure that thought crossed people's mind when he started hobbling away from the basket late in that first half. But the way he played in the second half, you saw him continue to use Euro steps. You also saw him continue to use the jab step, create space at the top of the key with what he does so regularly and so well with great proficiency. You saw it again tonight in that second half. And that's a concern, obviously. When you think about Joel Embiid leaving the game for any amount of time due to injury, especially what he just went through, that's a panic move. That's a panic move by a lot of people, and I get it. It makes you panic when you see it. But he came out, he played so confidently within himself, and I don't think he exacerbated or anything like that. I thought he was pretty solid in that second half to give you a lot of optimism going forward for what you could see from Joel Embiid. So the status report after the game from Nick Nurse was certainly a positive one, and you should be getting more and more from Joel Embiid when it comes to what the numbers he can put up can be as time goes on. Coming up, we're going to break down what the rest of the schedule looks like one more time when we talk about the Bucks, the Magic, the Pacers, and the Sixers and Nets as well. We will break it all down coming up here on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Apologize for the background music, if you guys can hear that, by the way. But right now, let me tell you about the great people of FanDuel. It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL just around the corner. Baseball, as we know, in full swing. FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. And right now, new customers get $150. That's $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to three-pointers to slam dunks to the whole thing. It steals everything. Rebounds, over-unders, all that are the great people of FanDuel. All on the app. It's safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an easy automatic win. Once again, FanDuel is safe, secure, and easy to use. FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to make your first bet an automatic win. Get up to $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make sure you're using FanDuel and having yourself a great old time. breaking it down going forward, looking at the 76ers and how they've closed out this season, there is one thing that you can hang your hat on. And you can talk about injuries, you can talk about stamina, you can talk about ramp up, whatever it is. The best thing, as it's come to be known in sports, you could be like the Miami Heat from a year ago, whether you play in the play-in tournament or not. All that matters is that you're playing the best brand of basketball you can play before the postseason starts. Now, do you want to draw the Boston Celtics in the first round of the actual playoffs? No, I'd like to avoid that, of course. Do you want to face the Bucks? I'll take the Bucks. The only team that bothers me in the Eastern Conference, without question, is the Boston Celtics. And I think every single Sixers fan understands that. And it's crazy to go back through the history and think of the battles that you've had against the Boston Celtics. And to think ever since you went up against the Paul Pierce Boston Celtics back with Andre Iguodala and Drew Holiday after you were able to get past the Chicago Bulls with Doug Collins 2 years before the process officially started, you lost in Game 7 of that Boston Celtics team, and you've never been able to get past that Game 7 of the second round of the postseason for the NBA playoffs. It's wild to think about that, but yet again, the Sixers have been there time and time again. More often than not, the Celtics are the team that have bounced you out of that position. They have bounced you out in recent years 4 different times in the postseason. So you don't want to make it a fit, obviously. When you look at it like this, though, and you look at the Sixers, at the end of the year, they're the only team in the NBA that has this long a winning streak going in to the end of the year. So you could look at the idea of the Sixers taking a step back, knowing that you're going to have that Sixers, that 7th or 8th seed. You could be playing in the play-in tournament. All the games that you care about are at 1 o'clock on Sunday. So the Sixers need to keep this momentum going. There's going to be no foot off the gas, and I can't echo Tyrese Maxey's sentiment more than I already have on the show, which is winning time. Simple, easy, direct. Winning time for the 76ers. Joel Embiid already looks healthy, already looks like his stamina is on a great level right now. You look at a guy like Tyrese Maxey, giving what he gives you throughout the game. You look at Kelly Oubre, and then the X factor. The reason I think, other than Joel Embiid coming back, the number 2 reason, I was expecting Tyrese Maxey, quite frankly, to play at an insane level. I was expecting it, especially when Joel Embiid came back, because Tyrese Maxey is far past the point of being submissive in his game to Joel Embiid, especially if Joel Embiid is trying to ramp up his play. But Nick Nurse for me. Kelly Oubre is great. We acknowledge that. I was expecting this from Kelly Oubre. It's what we've seen for the last 2 months. Tyrese Maxey, again, great. Expecting it from him. Joel Embiid, I was expecting him to come back, get ready for the playoffs, play himself back into shape. He has done that. I'm not worried about that anymore. The next step now is what you're going to get from Nick Nurse. And the saving grace here as to why the Sixers are playing this great brand of basketball right now, and quite frankly have been playing a much better brand of basketball than I have seen in a long time. All-around team game, multiple contributors, guys coming off the bench, ice cold that just come in and start helping. That goes down to the coaching style of Nick Nurse. And one of the things I'm hoping for, aside from just the supporting cast that the Sixers have, is we have seen guys like Doc Rivers not trust some of the younger guys on this team. We've seen Doc Rivers just rely on the talent of James Harden and the talent of Joel Embiid to try to get him to the next level. And the fight of a guy like PJ Tucker a year ago to help motivate a guy like Joel Embiid to reach through to the other side of where he thinks his wall of stamina ends and have him just keep on going forward. They're not going to have to rely on that this year. They have the talent, and this time around, they have the coaching. And what Nick Nurse does is something that so many coaches talk about, but unfortunately it gets brushed aside as only being cliche. With Nick Nurse, it rings true. Your players got to be in a great position to make plays for you, to make plays for the entire team. And Nick Nurse does a wonderful job of managing the spacing on this team. Tyrese Maxey running the point does a wonderful job doing that. I think that's under the tutelage very much so of Nick Nurse. Also, a guy that's just come in here recently to help him out in Kyle Lowry. I do think he learned a thing or two from James Harden in their time together being a point guard. But obviously it also goes to Kyle Lowry as well, having a lot of experience at that position. But it all comes back to coaching. And we've seen very talented teams in Philadelphia. If they have a little bit better coaching, maybe they get over that hump. I'm looking at this 76ers team going into this postseason as having an edge in a lot of categories when you talk about a coach like Nick Nurse. In the offseason, I did not expect Nick Nurse to come here to Philadelphia. I thought he was going to go elsewhere. I thought there were better jobs out there for him, one that he didn't have to deal with a guy like James Harden and whether or not he was going to stay. A little turmoil before with James Harden and upper management, Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey's a liar. Let me repeat that. Daryl Morey's a liar, according to James Harden. But this time around, it just feels like a lot different. And what I'm seeing on the court is a much better brand of basketball thanks to Nick Nurse. The ball movement on this team is superior than any other I have seen in recent years. Even going back to Allen Iverson, the ball just went back to Iverson. As simple as that. But this team, you have enough offensive weapons. You have enough sparks off the bench. You have enough shooting. And then, of course, it's only capped off by having the reigning NBA MVP. And quite frankly, if he didn't get injured, if he didn't get hurt, you'd be looking at a guy to go out there and again be the NBA MVP yet again this season. But unfortunately, the injury bug reared its ugly head. The ball movement is fantastic. The other thing that I see is there's a thing that great coaches do, and it's really coaching to your talent and allowing your talent to help each other out. And to see Tyrese Maxey continuing taking steps forward like that with more guys on this team and being more of that leader, that happens when a head coach goes, yeah, you do your thing. Not, hey, you got to be submissive to Kelly Oubre, you got to be submissive to Kyle Lowry, or you got to be submissive to Joel Embiid. No, you do your thing. You think something needs to be said, you have the free reign to be able to say it. And to talk about Tyrese Maxey already at this point in his career, as a guy that has already been able to achieve that, is absolutely phenomenal. And that is something that is an X factor within him. It's something that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, doesn't show up in the box score. But when you see him and Kyle Lowry talking on the sideline like he did tonight, and they're just kind of going over, whatever they're pointing to the court, they're going over different things, they're learning. They're not playing, but they're learning, and they're trying to understand each other so they understand their own spacing, especially if they're starting out as your 1 and 2 guards going into the game. These are guys that obviously not played a lot together, but they're trying to understand as much as possible. So the excuse of, well, we didn't play together long enough. We didn't play together long enough, so we really can't be on the same page, and that's why we got bounced out of the playoffs. That excuse, with this level of talent on this team and this coaching and also the personalities on this team, nobody on this team is a me-first guy. That is what I think helps take you to the next level for the 76ers, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Hopefully a much different ending than what we have seen in recent years with the Sixers in the postseason. So once again, you're going to be looking at the Sixers taking on the Nets to round things out on Sunday, and then Pacers and Hawks Sunday, Magic and Bucks at 1 o'clock as well. It's all coming down to the wire. Maybe we got Joel Embiid back a little earlier. Maybe a little bit. Anyway, no use hoping on that. No use harping on that. Excuse me. But the Sixers certainly putting it together at the right time. Hottest team in the NBA going into the postseason. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are awesome. Thank you, as per usual. And make sure you guys hit like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. This has been our Locked On 76ers postcast. Appreciate you guys joining me. I'm Mark Farzetta. Once again, like and subscribe to the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. And if there's a big game in Philly, we're talking about it right here on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. You have been Locked On 76ers postcast. Thanks for watching.